This week on Zen and Not Zen, BroTime edition.
So I was talking to speaking of high school stuff. I was talking to Cass because she's graduating, and they for whatever it's worth, do a lot of senior based things like senior skip day. They actually embrace that.
Yeah.
They have senior assassins and shit like that.
And pranks and all that.
But yeah, so the pranks. So what are y'all doing with some pranks? And she's like, well, it's kind of lame. And I'm like, well, what's lame? Because y'all do like "let's go" as your catchphrase of fucking culture, so it's got to be fucking lame, right? Hey, fucking corporate, let's go, right?
So is that what?
I had it out with her about that the other day. I'm like, y'all are better.
What's her opinion on it?
Did you?
She said they say it in jest, and I'm like, that's bullshit. That is fucking
shit.
bullshit.
No,
I think they think they do.
Y'all are 100% behind. Let's go!
Yeah.
Now, if you're at a sporting event, then that's another thing, because Let's Go's been sporting things forever.
Yeah.
But like, if you're like,
the Ramones made a shitload of money off that.
You know, the new K-Dot's coming out. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that. Let's go. And I'm like, get fucked. No, get fucked. This is bullshit.
K-Dot?
K-Dot. Kendrick Lamar. Come on, dude. Come on. You got to have
Come
a
on.
little. You're way better than this. You're way better than
that,
this,
and I ate lunch in the teacher's room.
K-Dot
K-Dot.
Lamar.
No, dog.
Yeah,
no,
K-Dot.
people don't know.
Yeah?
No.
Oh, yeah, I just made that up, Robin.
You just fucking
yeah,
made that up.
That's trendy,
You
yes,
made that up.
100%,
You're
yes.
like, oh.
Coined it.
BroTime.
BroTime. But yeah, I was like, yeah, fucking down Periscope. Why not?
Fucking throw it on.
They got me this that Lego bonsai tree in the corner.
I have one of those.
Sick.
You went with the pink flowers. I have the green leaves.
I did.
No, they're pink
frogs.
frogs.
They're frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went with the frogs for now. I'm gonna probably swap it over.
I love that.
I'm gonna go seasonal with it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try and
about
stay
that.
seasonal.
So,
yeah,
I bought that when that came out. And,
it's great. I love that.
They have a whole series of those.
It made me think of you because I know how much of the Lego stuff that you.
That was the first of their now, like, they have like a Tranquility series and shit.
Oh, all right. I feel that.
They got one that's actually really cool. It's like a fucking little miniature, like, Oriental, like, Zen garden.
Little Zen garden.
Pagoda temple and shit.
You got the rake in there and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's
I
dope.
literally, I mean, I would buy all of it, so
Yeah.
I can't,
Yeah. Have you stopped since Tiff moved in?
I mean, she has her plants. It's only fair.
Well, no, it's just she.
Do you have the Lego plant, like the Lego Monstera? Have you seen that?
No, yeah, I've seen all that shit too.
Oh my God.
I'm keyed in on all that.
Yeah, of course you
are. No, to her credit, she doesn't inhibit me buying all that shit. It's having a place to put it.
Yeah.
Because there's no, if I can't like look at it or enjoy it, then it's not. You know,
I want to put it together and put it in a
but like,
closet or
yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I
really want to buy the fucking castle. There's a castle.
Yeah. Dude, there's
I don't have room for it.
There's so much shit with Lego. It's crazy, man. Like I've seen like
they're making money.
The Lego cars, like the life-size Lamborghini that some like people built, and that runs, and like there's Lego guitars now and stuff like that, like built out of Lego, and it's crazy, man. But like, this might be the soonest we get even close to our topic, but like,
I don't even know what the fuck our topic is.
We'll just figure it out.
Getting too old. You're too old for this. Or when you're older, you understand. I think
what do you realize as you get older? Like, what do you get like more clarity on, less clarity on?
You'll become a Republican when you're 40, kind of shit.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But no.
You'll get it when you're older.
Well, I do
You're
have.
too old to enjoy that music, or not old enough.
Yeah.
Well, I do. Okay, so I do feel. I don't think it's an age thing, but I think it's an experiential thing. Like.
I'm
dismissive
of people in their 20s because of that.
Well, but I think we got to hold space for that because there's a place for that arrogance, and there's a place for that and that can enliven us again to look at something differently. Like my housemate's kid just turned 18, and she's
That's
like
fucking bananas.
K-Mass is 18 now. Yeah, she graduates on Friday, I think it is.
That's crazy.
Goes to Chicago, going to do our acting school and all that shit. But but she's a popular kid. She's keyed in, she's trendy, blah blah blah. So it's interesting to see like to see the mentality and to like experience that, and not just like the offhandedness of like just public, right? Anybody in public can be kind of a dick, right? And if you judge like the younger generations off the few occurrences you may have had, if you don't have kids regularly in your life, then that might be unfair, right? But seeing how like their mindset is and how she talks and what they talk about, right? And the things that they're concerned about and stuff like that. But I think there is like a generational thing. Like as you get older, there's things that just may make more sense because you have experience. But I think the thing that brought it to my attention in the first place is I've been listening to music for so long that I can now go back and listen to the music that I listened to in my early times in life with a different appreciation because of the appreciation I have for music now.
Yeah.
Right? And my thing for me was the fucking Doobie Brothers. What Makes a Fool Believe. Like, I was listening to What Makes a Fool Believe the other day, just happened to come on the radio, and it blew my mind.
To go on the radio, I'm sure.
No, seriously, it just happened to come on. Like, I think it was actually on like Instagram. Like, I was scrolling through, and it was like a live Doobie Brothers. There's Michael McDonald and shit.
What's the refrain on that one?
What a fool believes he sees.
That's pretty good, Mike. I don't know that off the top.
Wise man has the power to reason away.
You guys are fucking killing it. I like this more than anything I've heard off.
I heard Hanson do a cover.
Really? See, that's where the generations meet.
So when he said he's like, I randomly came across this Doobie Brothers song, I'm reminded of this like fake news story that The Onion did of like this shooting that happened at a Walmart. And everyone that was there was like, I never come here, but I was just going here to get some breakdowns. Right, yeah.
But like Doobie Brothers is like a band that, like Steely Dan, like these are bands like I kind of ancillarily listen to because my dad, my mom,
right,
and I know songs of them.
Steely Dan.
I don't, but I never really listened to them, and now I have I have a lot more of a catalog of appreciation for what I listen to and why I'm listening to it. And to be fair, like we keep talking about, we might revert back to the stuff we normally listen to, but like I get tired of that shit.
Yeah.
I just discovered Ethiopian jazz, and it's like it's changed my whole life. It's one of the best things I've ever heard. It's fucking amazing. Right?
But like Kuti and shit, that's not Ethiopian.
No, there's this dude named like Mataib. I can't remember, but man, it's like a playlist on Spotify. It's amazing. Like they use every song makes you feel like you're on a beach in like a Quentin Tarantino type movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's so fucking cool.
I think like for especially like certain kinds of musical genres, like your brain can't process the like a high schooler isn't going to sit down and listen to fucking Dexter Gordon and fully appreciate it, but maybe like I don't know, like I feel like maybe you need a mind that's been through some shit, that's slowed down a little bit, that I don't know, that can fully appreciate it. But I feel like a lot of like when I was younger, I'm not listening to Ethiopian jazz, but not to say that there aren't kids that already do that.
Yeah, right.
But
and it's not like there was even access to that.
Nerds, dorks, dweebs.
Well, and like there wasn't even really access when we were kids to that.
We didn't know about that because we didn't eat our lunch in the fucking art room.
Oh
man, wow, that's a deep stab right there.
Teacher,
do you mind if I eat lunch with you?
That's fucked.
The boys are being mean today.
I actually, again, it's fucking, I didn't actually know anyone that did that. I've always heard stories about people doing that.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you actually did that?
Eat lunch in the bathroom?
No,
What'd you say?
No, eat lunch in like the art room or like the teacher's
classroom.
classroom.
Have you never heard any of my stories about that?
Fuck.
That's all I did. That is, I used to bring in. I used to bring in old
they say it
Friends
affects
episodes.
The fucking memory.
You know what else you'll get when you get older? The shit that you put those poor teachers through when you were taking up their lunch hour. As a human adult, looking back now, I'm like, my God, I took the one free moment they had all day, and I just completely, monopolized their entire fucking lunch hour. Just constantly, I would do
held them hostage.
Miss Gauna. This is a public service announcement. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. For years, I would not even be in her class anymore and still try to go over there for lunch just to hang out. I had more teacher friends in school than I had actual friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're standing next to.
Well, I'm not sitting here like I was making motherfuckers do push-ups and shit, or like hanging out like in the Varsity Blues. I'm definitely more on your end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So I was talking to speaking of high school stuff. I was talking to Cass because she's graduating, and they for whatever it's worth,
So glad
they do a lot of community things no, I shouldn't say community. They do a lot of senior based things like senior skip day. They actually embrace that.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah, we did
senior
that too.
assassins and shit like
Right,
that.
and pranks and all that.
But yeah, so the pranks, right? And so she was talking about the pranks. I'm like,
Gotta
that's cool that
tread
y'all
really
are like.
lightly on that.
Well,
now.
so here's the thing. I was like, so what are y'all doing with some pranks? And she's like, well, it's kind of lame. And I'm like, well, what's
Yeah.
lame? Because y'all do like "let's go" as your catchphrase of fucking culture, so it's
Let's
got to
go.
be fucking lame, right? Hey, fucking corporate, let's go, right?
So is that what? Is that?
Oh,
what
I had
Greg-
it out with her about that.
Is
the other
that
day. I'm
what-
like, y'all
is
are
that-
better.
What's
her
You
opinion
need to
on
do
it?
better.
Did you-
She said they say it in jest, and I'm like, that's bullshit.
Bull
That is fucking
shit.
bullshit.
No,
I think they think they do.
Yeah, no, y'all
Yeah.
are 100% behind.
no.
Let's go!
Yeah.
Fucking
Now,
A.
if you're at a sporting event, then that's another thing. Because
Different
Yeah.
Let's
story.
Go's been sporting things forever.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, if you're like,
The
hey...
Ramones made a shitload of money off that.
Right. Hey, ho, let's go, right? Right? But if it's like, oh, fucking, the new K-Dot's coming out. Yeah, I'm going to listen to that. Let's go. And
Let's
I'm like,
go.
get fucked. No, get fucked. This is bullshit.
K-Not?
K-Dot. Kendrick Lamar. Come on, dude.
K-Dot.
Come on. You got to have
Come
a
on.
little... You're way better
You
than
gotta
this.
be.
You're
I
way
even
better
know
than
that,
this,
and I
man.
ate lunch
K
in the
what?
teacher's room.
K-Dot. K-Dot
K-Dot.
Lamar.
No, dog.
Yeah,
no,
K-Dot.
people don't know.
Yeah?
No.
Oh, yeah, I just made that up, Robin.
You just fucking
yeah,
made that up.
trendy,
You
yes,
made that up.
100%,
Like,
yes.
oh.
Coined it.
Fucking
shit, man.
hashtag
Keep
trending.
up, Greta.
I know, fucking A.
So their idea for a senior prank, and like I grew up in the time where we grew up in a time where we did pranks. We didn't get permission, but we just fucked some shit up,
you
right?
do it. I wasn't part of any of that shit because I didn't fucking care.
we
don't organize with those fucking assholes.
Ours was our senior prank wasn't even really meant to be. We just went there to go vandalize the school and saw another
Yeah,
group of
that's
people
basically
vandalizing
all
the
that-
school. And we're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh hey, let's do this
You
together.
made us do it.
So, but theirs, again, school sanctioned. Theirs was like, okay, so we're going to go, all the seniors are going to go in there with bananas. They're going to eat the bananas and then just leave the peel wherever they ate the banana. I'm like, that is
That's sweet.
the dumbest,
That's weak sauce.
the dumbest fucking prank I've ever heard.
So who's
Like,
gonna
my
pick-
older brother, in any kind of relevance to
Holy
that, my older
shit.
brother's senior class, so our school is two
like
stories.
move a cop car somewhere.
Right,
like-
come on, yeah. So my older brother's senior class, one of the many things that they did was they strategized like about a dozen people to throw watermelons off the second floor in the opening area during class change. So you had like hundreds of kids walking through the school, and a dozen other seniors just threw watermelons off the top. It could have hit anybody.
Yeah, very.
But the whole school smelled like watermelon the rest of the day. It was great.
Well,
was
if they
fantastic.
did it all simultaneously, I could see that being a cool thing when it all hits at the same time. But throwing a watermelon from a height, like if that hit somebody,
Oh, it was
that's-
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid.
you
It's
see
shit.
that God, it's one of those fucking reality competitions. The lady trying to launch the watermelon and it fucking just
Oh,
let
and takes it to the
like
dome.
It's right
Oh
up
my
there. It's right up there
God.
with the grapes, the grape lady.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh.
in the same. Yeah, it's in that same.
Yeah.
The watermelon. Just,
It is the most painful thing I've ever watched in my life.
Holy
just
shit.
straight to the face.
So the I've never seen that. I have to watch that. So the prank they decided on finally, which
Banana
I'm
peels.
well, they're not doing that. So the prank they
Fuck.
finally decided on was they're all gonna park their cars awkwardly in the school parking lot for the students, so nobody can really park in the majority of the area, and then they're gonna camp out in the teacher's parking lot.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's cool. Okay, I
Yeah.
can get
That's
down with
not
that.
bad,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're
Okay.
like quietly causing chaos, right? Love that. Teachers
Yeah.
have a meeting at 6 a.m.
Sure.
on the day that they're doing that. So last day of school,
spoiler alert!
they're
all those
going
people,
in.
'cause this shit we broadcast
Yeah,
live.
just live. Yeah, totally. Right to the teachers too. Yeah, that's right. But I'm like, okay, that's better. I get down with that.
Yeah.
You know, good for you. Yeah.
One I
fuck
saw
yeah.
online was a bunch of seniors
Someone's gonna get
broke,
caught getting
not
fucked
broke
up.
in, but like snuck into their principal's home and then spent the night. And so that when they were all
Oh.
there, when he woke up,
I've seen that.
or
That's
when
yeah,
she
yeah.
woke up, they
okay.
did a couple times, and I was like, I would have.
That's so fucked up.
I would have been so excited to be in a teacher's personal home at 18. I would have been like, I would have fully been on board with that prank. I'm like, yeah,
Man,
let's do it.
Yep, I'm going in everything.
Oh, what are these pictures? This is what she
Fucking
lives
hell,
like at
man.
home.
That is crazy. But back to Doobie Brothers. Do you realize how many key changes is in that song?
Oh, dude, I never
And,
like
tempo,
dissect that
it's
shit. I remember
crazy,
just like,
man.
let's take a look at the tab on fucking China Grove, dude. I mean, talk about China Grove.
Well, and also, I didn't
see like that. That's Superfly TNT, but like I don't know what the fuck track you guys are talking about.
It's What a Fool Believes, man. But see, okay, but I think also like again, I don't know if this is an age thing or access to technology or access to time, but like with stuff like this now, like I tied onto this song, I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. I started looking into it. Kenny Loggins wrote it with him, right? And so
I love
Highway to the Danger Zone, little duet there. And then Kenny Loggins released this on one of his albums called Nighttime or Nightmare or something like that, and it's a completely different version.
Yeah.
It's more jazzy. It's kind of like it's all different, like arrangement and shit. And so it's like it's cool to like dive into shit like that. Like one of my favorite things to do, and it's fucking weird. Like I don't know why I get so much joy out of this, but I found, and it was like while I was uploading videos for our podcast. I usually don't go on YouTube. I just don't find myself there. But there's all these videos on my homepage about like the first time somebody listens to Tool. Or like a therapist listens to Tool, or
I've seen those videos. I love those
great
videos.
drummer.
Or like my dad listening to some guy made his dad listen to Tupac, Mama.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And it like brought him to tears. And so it's like kids taking their parents through older or newer music, and then or other.
As we mentioned, shit that's 30 years old.
Yeah. Or like someone listening to System of a Down for the first time.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's important for us and for the younger generations is to really collaborate with this, right? Yeah. I think KRS-One, I heard him talking about this a while back, and it's like, one generation is not more important than the other because we are all constantly learning. We have a different understanding as older folks, as you get older, of the way information lands, but you're not always have your finger on the pulse of the new information, the new technology coming out. Yeah. And same with the younger generation. Like, they know what's going on. They got their finger on that pulse, but they don't always know how to play with the toys, right? So if we can find this collaborative kind of, like, union between, hey, look at these cool things that are happening. It's like, okay, cool. Like, that's awesome. But this is what I would, this is yes and, right? Not yes but yes and. Yes and we'll look out for this because we've broken that toy many times in the past. So maybe just, look at the way we played with it and stop fucking it up.
Yeah. I also think, like, it's funny how there is, like, this rivalry between older people and younger people. And I think it's because younger people, all they want to do, or at least when I was younger, all I wanted to do was be old.
Right.
And when I get to a certain age, I can't.
I don't really want to be young.
I don't want to be young, but I don't want to be. Yeah, I want to go back, or I miss this, and so you have two polar opposite sides of the same feeling, and I feel like the only thing that they can get satisfaction of is razzing the other group.
Yeah,
so
blaming you guys.
Well, it's like I want to be younger, but you won't get it till you're older, and it's like you're fucking too old to get it.
The expression "youth is wasted on the young."
I think it is.
Yeah, I do too.
And that is something I didn't fully appreciate until I got older.
Yeah.
So it's like, I heard that.
Because the energy I had 15 years ago, I didn't realize how much of that would go away.
I think of my ability to rally and the ability to, like, do all, like, the fucking extracurriculars and feel relatively fine the next day.
Also just, like, not having commitments. Or as like, you're single, you're either your parents, or under your parents' roof, or even if you're not, like, there's just
rent was considerably cheaper 15 years ago for me.
There's actually there's a book I've been reading called The Good Life. Actually, I just started reading it, so I can't say been, but
planes pre 9/11. Now we're going way back.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like this. There's been a lot of studies around, like, that feeling of, okay, like things were so much peaceful back then, and it's really not. Like there's like
peace 7% of its existence.
We're in one of the most peaceful times in our lives. We're actually working. I think the study is 20% less than we have been in the past 50 years. Like as far as hours worked and shit like this, but we're still more stressed out.
Yeah.
Right. We're way more stressed out than we have been. And so they're talking about, like, it's what they're contributing a lot of these things to now is, like, the amount of screen time we have and how much brain processing it actually takes to switch between tasks.
Yeah.
And, like, what actually a task is. And a task can be going from this conversation to randomly checking your phone, and your brain just expended, like, 20% more energy than it normally would. Right? So there's all this stuff that, like, this book starts off talking about, but what it really comes down to, so what the book is about is the Harvard study, the Harvard happiness study. So it's been the longest running scientific study that we know of, right? It's been going on for 80 plus years, and it started off very kind of very close-minded in a way. There was about 724 participants in this study when it first started in the 20s, and 1/3 of them were Harvard students, and 2/3 of them were from inner city Boston. All white males, except for I think there's maybe a dozen women, but all white, all from this demographic, right? And it was very, conceited in a way. Like these Harvard folks are like, yeah, we've made it, we're happy. Let's study the people that just didn't make it. So 2/3 of them and 1/3 of us as counter, And but this thing's been going on for almost 80 years now, or over 80 years, and it's diversified because of that, just naturally. So these people have gotten married, and so now there's other spouses involved with their different genders, different races. Those people have had kids and grandkids, so now there's like 1,300 kids being monitored and blah blah blah. And so like they've written a book, and one of the things that they're talking about is like, what is it what is it that makes people happy? Is it status? Is it money? Is it all these things? Because they've been studying these people for 100 years. And what they're finding is it's the relationships that you have. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you've done in life, what you've quote unquote accomplished in life. It's how close are your relationships. And
yeah, $1,000 steak dinner sounds pretty fucking nice, but it sounds better with somebody else there.
I would never want $1,000.
Yeah.
No, but I understand.
Yeah.
It's like that's the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, no, it is, right. And it's we need to have those relationships. And so I think then again, that's one of the things that maybe we understand when we get older is like the importance of relationships. Like I can, I didn't have the opportunity to throw away relationships when I was younger because I didn't have a lot of friends. I had a little hand group, full of friends, and I was a people pleaser, so I wasn't fucking shit up.
Right, exactly.
But, there are a lot of, people that I've grown up with that, whether it's relationships, like you just throw people away left and right, not really realizing the impact of, what that has on the person, but also what that has on you and your ability or inability to create meaningful relationships as you get older.
Yeah.
Because that is the important stuff, like it's not, and it can be as simple as like being nice to your barista. Like, hey, how are you today? What's going on? Like interactions.
It
doesn't always have to be romantic,
Yeah, it does make your world more peaceful when you're in a mindset of like, I have friends, I have family that cares about me. I'm nice to people. People are nice to me. Like even it doesn't matter like what's going on internationally or in our country or locally or whatever. It's just like that. And nothing will make you feel more lonely and angry than not having that. So I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, because we really can't control at all. Like, there's so many vast issues going on, from race relations to genders and sexes and all kinds of things, that are happening that we... it's hard to even have an opinion on everything. Like, I don't even know. I mean, to be completely frank, like I have zero opinion on the Hamas Israel thing because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to put into figuring it out, and I don't really fucking like. It doesn't impact me enough as a human being in the life that I live to waste my energy into doing that. Yeah. So I just back out of those conversations. That's fine. I haven't pissed anybody off, and if I do, I don't fucking care. Like I'm claiming my ignorance. I don't need to have an opinion on everything, and I don't need to know this shit.
Dude, Switzerland's been just fine. Not fucking taking a stance on anything for chilling.
Yep. But as a younger person, we might think that like, oh well, here's the opinion that I have and I think that I've thought out because of the 4 things that I've heard other people say and I've conjoined together to make some kind of statement that feels like it comes from me. Like, fuck it, I don't have fucking time for that bullshit. Yeah. I'd rather just not have the conversation.
Do you guys engage in those conversations?
No,
often?
fuck no.
Yeah, neither do I. But
no, it's not worth my time.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to change their mind, and I'm not trying to get in a conversation where somebody tries to change mine.
It's never really about that. It's never really about that. That's the thing. It's like, I don't really, but it's like, it's never, people are just like, repeating whatever the fuck they heard, and then that's it. And I am the same way, but I also just don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a lot of opportunities for me in the areas that I work in for me to get pulled into conversations like that. And I don't I don't need to have an opinion. And I've come to the agreement with myself that I don't need to have a stance. And I'm okay with that. I can know what's going on in the world, but still not have, yes, I agree that you're right, and yes, I agree that you're wrong.
Right.
Doesn't need to happen to me.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I think like for sure would engage in those conversations like 5 years ago and feel the need to like make people understand
You gotta
or
fucking
make
know,
people know, and where it's like, can you see where I'm
Right.
coming from? Do you know this? Let me educate
Yeah.
you on this. Let me bring these facts to the table and blah blah blah. And I feel like it just never made a difference. So like it's not going to stop me from doing the things that I believe in and
Right.
thinking the things that I believe.
Right.
But even with like this conversation with you two, just being like, oh, I don't really have an opinion about it. Like 5 years ago, I'd be like, okay, let's break this down because this is important that you know this and this is important that like blah, blah, blah. And now I'm
Yeah.
just like, okay, well, I think differently and that's cool.
This
Like,
isn't-
and
this
and
isn't-
the
this
end of
isn't-
conversation.
What was it, Lesbian 101 podcast?
That was a
It's
great
like, all right,
show.
guys, I got to really prioritize here.
Well, yeah, especially like now, it's just like I get where you're coming from, Adam. Is just like you do have to, you can't be 100% on every single issue
Oh.
especially with us feeling and being overloaded with so much going on around us.
You can
Right.
only
And-
parse so many fucks to give.
Yeah, and I like fully like support everyone who is like gung-ho and doing all they can for whatever cause that they believe in, but you can't go that hard for 100 different things because it also doesn't do
It's
anything for
impossible.
those causes because you don't have the energy to do that. So pick the thing that is very important to you and go hard 100% on that. And I am fully like more understanding now that like not everyone can be or will be on board with everything all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's, like with Tiffany, for example, she's very hardcore on kind of, being much more conscious about consumption and the environment and kind of doing more sustainable practices with like, stasher bags, shit like that,
Yeah.
And that's all great. I totally do that and I'm more mindful of that. And I guess it's just, the cynic could just go, cool, for every me, there's 5,000, plastic, whatever. Like, we're only doing so much, and you can only parse so much. There's only so many ways you can care about this thing. Like my brother's wife's parents, who are both retired, can kind of devote a little more time to this. They go to like the co-ops and fill up the big giant glass containers,
Yeah,
totally,
shit,
yeah.
and like get fucking toilet paper mailed in a large quantity like every 6 months and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it's like literally like when you talk about devoting your time,
Yeah.
that is like kind of, I don't want to call it a hobby and be dismissive of it because it's a passion.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that's literally like one of the things that they have time now to do.
Totally.
And I'm
that-
so grateful
And the money to do so. That's the
Exactly,
other
yeah.
that
thing.
other people have priorities that are not my own. So
Yeah.
something I also care about, which
Yeah.
is the environment or recycling, that maybe I can't devote 100% like they can. Thank goodness that they can, and
Yeah.
that's their cause. Great.
Right.
So that's being taken care of for a little bit on this side. I can't devote my entire life to, cause B. I'm so glad you can because I also care about
That's
that.
tight.
So I fully support you. So if we all are 100% on one issue, then we can cover more causes that way of supporting each other for what's important to everybody. So it's spread out. It
Carry
is
the torch
delegated.
For Nickelodeon nostalgia.
No, and that's I
And I
love
fully
that.
support like all these like university campus things for
Right.
Palestine. I'm so happy that they're happening, and I'm so happy that there's so many young people that are so passionate about that, and I fully support what they are doing. But like I'm not able to do that, so I'm so glad you can. And
Right.
I did my part for this other thing that I care about, and it's just if we look at it in that mindset rather than you're not doing enough,
Right.
it's like do everything you can for what you can do.
I don't understand why we're still so surprised that people protest
Yeah.
and like hold these protests and stuff, and like why people get so offended by them. in one way or the other. I mean, we've been doing this for fucking hundreds of years. Like
We're not gonna protest.
It's like it's right.
We're not gonna
but
protest.
especially at colleges, and now you have places like Harvard that offer a doctorate in basically, finding a ways to give unbiased opinions. Harvard's not going to release public opinion anymore about situations, right? And so like there's all this stuff that like it just doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense for generations like ours, and I say ours stepping into that like north 30s, 40s, 50s to really be so fucking surprised that the youth is upset. We are not that far away from being youth.
Yeah.
Like we're 20 years out of being youth. That's not that fucking far. We can remember the angst and the fucking confusion and the I don't want to do what you're doing. I don't like your path. I don't like your politics.
And that's how
I don't
things
like this shit.
change.
Exactly.
That's the point.
So why as this generation like those kids are out of control. I can't believe. And and then again, I mean, one of y'all mentioned it in jest earlier, but yeah, 50% of the hippies became Republicans.
Yeah.
So like, do you notice when you are starting to cross whatever line that you drew in the sand 20 years ago, that's like, I'll never be that.
Yeah.
I'm going to never be like that. And then you start stepping towards that. Generally what causes that is fear. So what in the fuck are you afraid
or being
of?
jaded. Or
which is fear.
Putting so much of your fucking bussy in a fucking cause and seeing like I can see how that can radicalize people into being like, fuck this, fuck you on the street,
right.
Fuck you young kids, I did that, doesn't work, blah blah blah. I can see how that can push someone to go the complete opposite, and right. I get that. But like the youth is wasted on the young kind of thing. It is and it isn't, because that, like you were saying, like that's the time that you have all this angst and confusion, and that's when they have the time and the energy to, rally. And it's happened with every generation. Like they think it's like this new thing that kids are out of control. It's like, did you see any of the Vietnam War protests? It's the same fucking thing that's happening with
gay
the
rights
Palestine.
in the 90s.
Yeah,
Jesus
like
Christ, man.
It goes with every fucking generation. So it's a good thing and is a normal thing, and it is a thing that should be happening.
Yeah. I read a quote a while back.
Down.
Yeah.
Go listen to your Ethiopian jazz, Bill.
Yeah, man, fucking hell. There's a quote I heard a long time ago, and it was human rights are rarely ever given, they're fought for. Mm-hmm. And that's, it's like, oh yeah, that's right, you do need more time off with your kids.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys that. That makes a lot of sense. It's like, get fucked. No, it's like in France when they started bitching because they're going to take them from 5 weeks off as a standard benefit for every person that works in France to now 3, and they protested, and the rest of the world was like, what are you protesting for? It's like, no, fucking protest for 7.
Yeah,
fuck
it's
that.
A slippery
This
slope.
Is bullshit, man. Don't fucking let them take that shit away.
Iceland's good at that too. I feel like it's Iceland. I can't remember which country. I think it's Iceland, but all the women are just like, we're not going to work today because you guys are, you guys are playing with us too much. And it's like, can you imagine if we had that kind of drive here? I feel like it happens in more countries other than ours.
And the shitty thing is, like, we do have that drive, and we could do that. We have the total opportunity to, like, make a big impact, but it always, not always.
Do you think it's like American culture?
I think it is, yeah. I think it's American culture. It's a lot of it, I feel like,
money
is
over everything.
I've had to suffer, so now you fucking have to suffer.
Well, that's 100%.
You can't have it better than me.
Exactly.
Well,
even though we're always saying, like, we want to give.
Forgiveness is a hot button issue with that one.
Well, it's bullshit because if you have
to pay.
If you've ever had kids, which a good portion of people living in America have had a kid, the mindset is I want that kid to have it better than I had it. I want them to have
that's
more.
Very funny, yeah.
But
unless it's
at
someone
the same
else's
time,
kid.
it's like, oh, you guys are fucking. The youth is all like fucking porcelain now and blah 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 and all this shit. Well, we fucking created that.
Yeah.
Locally, we're
We want
running into a
everything handed
big
to
problem
us.
with public schools being underfunded and having to consolidate because of under enrollment, and It's and you also have people that don't have kids that are less willing to kind of vote for school levies and whatnot too. But it's like you have these people. It's just like at these town halls talking about like, guys, we're 110 million short here.
Right.
We're gonna need to shut down some schools, and like you guys are gonna need to like this is just what it is. You got all these parents that rightfully so. This is going to fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
But it's just like cool. You can also look around in that fucking room too, because some of those votes that voted against that levy are sitting right next to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, this is because you guys voted this shit down.
Yep. Well, and here's
This
something.
is locally very recently.
Here's something I realized as I got older: is the importance of educating the youth. And not saying like
So
a mass
short-sighted.
education in
Yeah.
one side, but like just making sure that the youth know how to be educated and like have a basic knowledge base of whatever that is, or know how to act and problem solve, whatever it is, right? But if we're not investing in our youth, then this country is going to go to fucking, or continue going to shit, because the people that are going to come up and want to run the fucking country don't have any idea of what the fuck they're doing, because they're still figuring out 2 fucking plus 2, right? The no kid left behind. So all these fucking idiots have gotten through the system.
left behind.
Right? It's like, come on, man. It's like, if we're going to want this country or this world to be beneficial and to continue to move forward, why is education such a hot button issue?
We've got a crop of adults that are coming too that didn't they just essentially get like 2 years off of education?
Yeah.
Like, during COVID.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean, like, that was fucking snow day for
Yeah.
a whole fucking
Well,
grip.
and that's the
I
thing.
would
It's
have
like,
loved that in high school. I would have.
well, here's the thing. It's like, oh, I'm so worried about the generation coming. No, stop being worried about support the generation coming
Yeah.
up. How do we support them? Don't fucking worry about
gonna be
them,
the ones taking
because
care of
people
your ass.
love
Yeah,
to
dude.
be victims. We've figured this
my
out.
car doesn't run on thank you. Your goodwill doesn't,
Yeah, so
stop
like,
guns.
if we continue treating that generation like victims, they're going to continue to be victims. So how do we support that generation to feel more empowered, to have conversations, to look at people in the eyes, to do whatever it is that we feel that needs to be done? Or is that the way that, like, there's a doctor I listen to that talks a lot about autism and neurodivergence and things like that. And, by no means is he saying like, there's you gotta accept the fact that some of these folks are nonverbal and communicative and things like that. But he said one of the things he talks about is the interesting thing how ADHD from ADHD to Asperger's to autism, right? Like the whole neurodivergent spectrum. A large portion of our populace is being born into this for whatever reason, and one of the constant things around neurodivergence is there is an inability to accept these rules that we've put into society, and in a way that's kind of fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
We're birthing humans in this world that can't be quote unquote trained into capitalism. Because the other thing that I've heard recently that I've heard people talk about, which I really love, is neurotypical the real way? Or is neurotypical the capitalistic? My personality is malleable enough to understand that I don't have empathy, that I'm more apathetic than empathetic, that I can say get fucked and just follow rules because somebody else is telling me to. And is neurodivergence really like the people that are like, I don't get this and this doesn't make any sense because I really love everybody here, and so I don't want to be above them and I don't want to take something from them and I don't want to work the rest of this.
Because that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And I also feel like the anger that we have towards our youth, like what you were saying, how like I suffered, so you have to suffer.
Right.
It is like a vicious cycle that just keeps continuing. And I feel like, I mean, I can't speak because I've never really like super lived in every single country, but I feel like it is ingrained in American culture. It is every man for himself.
Right.
So we in America don't have the same kind of culture that a lot of other countries have, that is like deep rooted in community or family or traditions, and everything that we have has been taken from something else. It's been there's nothing that was fully born here, that every single American can kind of understand. And I feel like it kind of breeds this hostility of between everybody of not taking. I feel like that's why we don't have the education, the free healthcare. It's because I'm not paying for it. I have to. I'm suffering. I'm paying for this. I'm not paying for Joe Schmo's fucking healthcare. I'm not paying for whoever's education. I had to pay for mine. Yeah. You have to figure it out, and it just breeds this like negative, toxic cycle that I feel like keeps us from being the community that I think we can be.
Right.
But I think we are an angry people. That is our culture is anger.
Professionally, if I was not tied to health insurance through my employment, I would have done things. I mean, I don't really fucking care. I'd probably still be in restaurants. But it would be a huge game changer.
Game changing
game changing.
I would be able to have more time to do this thing that I care about, or have to not. I can't quit this job because of the benefits. And I have to take care of my kids, and I have to take care of
more
my
along
spouse.
the lines of quitting and kind of and this isn't even relevant even currently. It's just more along the lines of just like sitting there and just kind of sticking something out because it's like this is the fucking bird in the hand. These are the benefits and shit. This is a known thing. Oh well, at bare minimum, it's going to be 90 days at the other job.
Right.
They call that. I just heard a term for that. They call that. I think it's called job lock.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people are in this job lock situation because of that. Their benefits, their retirement plans.
So you go to a job you hate every
401ks.
day, which makes you a really happy person, I'm sure.
Right, totally.
And then I'm sure you don't bring any of that home to your family, and I'm sure you don't bring any of that home to your community and your own personal health. So it really only has good benefits. Because I was talking to my coworker
we know
last
what
night.
the benefits are. It's 401k.
Right. But even then, it's like not even the fact that what we still have to pay, even just talking insurance wise, what you still have to pay out of pocket, even when you are covered. It's like a fucking scam.
Oh yeah,
still.
If I fucked myself up, it's still gonna cost me $6,200.
But I was talking to my friend Sarah last night at work, and we had these two German guys in, and they were camped out at a table for 3 hours, ordered, one glass or 2 glasses of wine, and we're just taking forever.
Not like those rock stars that you fed fucking, a couple jugs of Carlo Rossi.
Just downing them. But they were saying to her like, oh, in Europe, we're European. Like if you were to drop the check and we still had food on the table, that would be an insult. Or if we asked for the check while we still have food on the table, that'd be an insult to the restaurant or whatever. And someone dropped a check on them, and they were like, well, I guess we're getting kicked out. I was like, I understand that that's how Europe works, but like in America, we as a company are trained to push, and we are punished if we're not turning tables. So it's like you can't bring in this culture and think like we're just, I don't know. She was saying that like she was the one that brought it up, like that fact that we operate so differently in this country, and we have so much anger, and I feel like that's why none of us can just sit and have a glass of wine for 3 hours, because we have to go home, we have to get up for work, we have to go to the grocery store, we have to do this. And when you're in Italy or France, and people just like sit and chill, and they're not in a rush to get anywhere, and they have maybe time to go dedicate more stuff to causes they believe in, or are willing to protest because they have the security.
In Belgium is still one of the coolest things that I've seen. It was literally just like, an open fucking square, and all the bars and restaurants just spilled out to it.
Well, in Spain, they don't start eating dinner till 10 p.m. or some shit.
Across the board of ages, too. Young kids, and then just fucking like old timers. Like, all right, cool, you're getting... Not even, I was there to get fucked up. They were probably having a glass of wine.
Yeah. We're here to fucking rage.
All right, let's go, boys.
Let's go.
I had my soccer jersey on. Soccer.
I know there's some studies out here that I've read about, and I can't remember what the results have been, but I'll just put it out there. It just says this is a study that's been out there, but
just put it out as facts.
100% fact. You don't even need to fact check it.
Don't
just
even
take my
just
advice.
Take my word.
Whatever
we know exactly what we're talking about all the
time.
time.
You can go ahead and start chiseling.
Go for it,
man. Yeah, come on, man. But to the point you made, Robin, about sticking with a company because of insurance and benefits and blah 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 blah. There are studies out there that show that what the effect on your body is for the sacrifice you would say making to go to a job you hate for the insurance and for the benefits that you might end up being able to use if the fact of the chance you either survive long enough to use them, or if you're given the thumbs up from the insurance company to be able to use it. And from my loose memory of this, the findings are very abysmal. Like, it does not make sense to just stick it out at a job you hate, because qualifying, there's qualifiers like commute times into a job that aren't really taken into it. Yeah, I'm making more money. I'm, blah, blah, blah. But I'm driving 45 minutes one way where I used to drive 10 minutes.
Right.
Like, that ends up
I'm fucking
making
10
up
minutes
over
away
time.
from my house now, and it's huge.
Right. Yeah.
It's huge.
Those qualifiers make a big difference over time, but those are your personal qualifiers. So
yeah, if I was a hippie in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and I had a bunch of kids now, and I gotta work this 9-to-5 job in a box, and I used to be free, I would be fucking pissed, and I would probably take it out in other ways. Like that's just not good for anybody.
Vague anecdote about commute times. I thought this was very cool. I was you remember Swerve? Papa Swerve.
Papa
John
Swerve,
Hurley.
yeah, totally, yeah.
So when he was working at Elysian downtown Seattle, I think he was still living in fucking like deep Issaquah or whatever. And he was like, "Yo, went to the interview when they were negotiating, times. And he showed him the bus schedule, and he goes, "I will be here at this bus stop to catch this bus to get me downtown for this job 100% of the time. I'm not going to catch a bus an hour early to give myself a buffer because the fucking bus doesn't show up. Like, that's not an expectation." But he's like, "I will be here, is this okay?"
Well, there you go.
And I'm like, fucking tat out, dude.
There you
Got
go.
the job, obviously, but it's just like, well, that's pretty I mean,
Laid it
that's
out.
a chef. That's a chef.
Laid it out.
But
Expectations.
it's just like...
No, but yeah, it's the expectations, I think, that are ingrained in us in this country that we are just never not pushing. If you're early, or if you're 10 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late, kind of shit.
I can't tell you how many times I said that, and I fucking hate that statement so much.
And it's like, your time, my time is more valuable than your time.
Yeah.
And everybody says that, so no one's time is valuable.
Thank you. And it's those things like that. Like, we don't realize how we're talking about shit, but our subconscious does, and subconsciously we're all like, "Get fucked! You're so selfish. This is bullshit."
Well, actually, see, I read that a different way. When I see someone as being late, and everyone else is like, we're talking about end times as someone like in a restaurant setting. I'll be very specific. When someone's showing up late, I think that's not necessarily viewing as no one's time is valuable. That's one person viewing it that their time is more valuable than everyone else's.
Yeah.
Or they had life happen to them. You know how hard it is to get 34 people to meet at the same place at the same time?
And also, at the end
do
of the day,
same thing?
what are the stakes?
And who gives a fuck about you and your time? Do you think they're like driving their car, changing their tire, and be like, "Oh my God, Robin's going to be so pissed off that I'm late"? It's like, no, I'm fucking trying to change my tire.
Yeah.
Right? So like, again, like, I think we're so caught up in the world that we're living, we've gotten away from just accepting that other people have lives that they have an opportunity to live, and sometimes it doesn't coincide with our life.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't mean they're fucking doing it to piss you off, or because they're like, "Oh, well, my time's more important." It's like, okay, so I heard something the other day.
Yeah, well, no, again, but you can revert to a medium. You're talking about scenarios that are isolated, and it's like,
I think you're talking about scenarios that are isolated. Those are the ones that stick out, are the ones that piss us off. It doesn't mean all of those are there.
I'm referring to people that are consistently late.
Yeah. There's something I heard the other day that made me kind of think about something like this, and it's Newtonian physics is starting to break down, and cause and effect no longer makes sense. Right, so no, like, cause and effect, our whole world is based off cause and effect. If I steal something, that's something I've done. The effect is going to be me going to jail or me paying some fine, right? That doesn't always make sense anymore, especially as we're getting down to like quantum physics and these smaller things. So like somebody being late consistently, being the cause of whatever it is, the effect is pissing people off at work and blah, blah, blah. But there are so many layers to the opportunities for what that consistency can be that has nothing to do with the work or the people that are doing there, that are being part of that. But our whole basis of life is
100% not work related.
Well, I know, but it's still like, clearly it's offending. You're taking offense to it.
No, I'm just...
Or the opportunity for offense to be
I'm
there.
not a manager because of shit like this anymore, because of shit like this.
Right.
I'm just saying, if you are consistently late, it is 100% a choice of that person. Now, yes, life fucking happens. I get that. But that's why you take a photo of your flat tire when it actually is flat. When you have your when it legitimately is flat, then you have that. I understand there's ways to do this.
Hey, how many COVID tests did I save
get that
as
fucking
positive
COVID
just in
test.
case?
Go ahead and have your pink eye. There's ways you can't get off the toilet. I know how the game is fucking played.
But the fact we have to play a game is bullshit.
Well,
I think that's what we're getting to.
We all fucking work for somebody, so it's like, cool. I don't have the luxury to say fuck off.
Right. Here's the thing.
You and I don't. So, that's the whole fucking point, though. And unless I am in a position to say fuck off, that's the whole point.
What's funny, though, is that I agree with you, because I get the same way, because I'm always 10 minutes early places. I'm a people pleaser.
Totally,
I never want to be late, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So nothing irritates me more than people being on time. But I'm the person that wants to be early and on time. I am the stressed out person. I've never met a more relaxed person than people who always fucking show up late.
Yeah.
Because they take care of themselves first. And that pisses me off as someone who takes care of everybody else first.
That's
a
a good point.
That is my choice and that is their choice. So as much as it fucking irks me, the people that are consistently late, which I have people like that in my life, but they are no worries.
Yeah,
and that pisses me off
out.
even more. But that is a choice. And the thing is like, it irks me, but I still have relationships with them. It irks me, but I still work with them. It irks me. Like, so like, I get where you're saying, where it's like, that's a me problem now.
Right.
The fact that it irks me. But I know it has an effect of like being late at work. That means I might have to pick up slack. It means I blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, like when it comes to like mental health, I'm more stressed out being on time than the people who are consistently late. So like, who is actually right?
You know, actually, it is funny. I'm now really unpacking how I feel about this. This attitude is really only kind of an outgrowth of a tip pooling scenario.
Exactly.
Oh,
I don't really.
But whose fault is that?
Well, I could probably blame that on COVID.
No, I'm just meaning like the way our system is structured.
Oh yeah,
we're clawing, we're pooling. We have to fight for tips.
Back in the day, remember fucking before tip pooling. And again, I don't really have a problem with tip pooling. Really don't. But it's before that, it was like, oh, so and so's not here. It's like, cool.
I'll snag their table.
Give me their section.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
I will make $40 before that dipshit gets here.
Totally.
I'm hanging on to that table. It is different now when it's like, cool. I'm going to use present example. I just had to do 4 tables worth of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're still going to get
And now
the
it's
same
like,
amount.
cool, they need nothing. Go ahead and fucking process their check.
Yep.
I'm going to go back to my section now.
Right.
So I guess that's actually the only real caveat is I don't really give a fuck if you're late, especially if we're in a scenario in which I will monetarily gain. Again, restaurants. And again, we're also not launching the space shuttle because who fucking cares anyway?
Well, but yeah, and that's what I always have to remind myself is like it's stakes. But I get where you're saying where it does affect me in some way because I'm doing more work and you're benefiting from the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, monetarily, tip pooling is not actually fair. Like
it's not at all. I don't like it
unless you're actually doing it like on an hourly basis, which
Right.
nobody's gonna fucking do.
Yeah.
It's too much work.
Well,
for them.
especially the place I work, like we're the ones shaking our tits at the table. We're the ones trying to get the
Is that
tips
what you
up.
do there?
Oh
Fuck,
yeah,
I have
shake them
I shake them.
And this is not to say that the guys in the back of the house don't fucking kick ass, which they do.
Yeah.
But there are days where I don't want to fucking talk to anybody. And what I would love nothing more is to shuck some oysters with an ear pod in my ear and just zone out and just shuck for 3 hours. They get the exact same amount of money as I do.
They get 20%. In the current structure, they get 20% of everything that I get. And that is good, bad, or otherwise. So when I can't go back and say, it will be here when it will be here, or they told me 1 minute, 7 minutes ago, because that's not good enough, and that affects me monetarily, but they still get as if way to go, buddy.
Exactly.
Right.
So again, it's a very...
But that is a system culture thing
pitting
that
us against
it
each
is
other.
pitting people against each other. So it seems like we're blaming each other at the lowest level, which we are just the pawns that are feeling the repercussions of the capitalist system that we live in, where it's fight, claw, fuck you, you're late, you're gonna affect me, I can't afford this, blah, blah, blah. Like that is what breeds this like animosity that we have towards each other as Americans that other countries just don't have because they don't have that fucking cutthroat like environment that they have to live in. It drives us nuts. But we have to remind ourselves that it's like we are not the problem.
Right.
We are the effect of the problem.
Yeah.
We are the symptom of something larger that's happening that we need to look at.
If you think about like a lot of the, America was known for like innovative and all that shit, and like a lot of the innovations we've quote unquote come through with or adapted to, maybe not innovated, but the technologies we've adapted to are supposed to make our lives easier and do all this stuff. But like, self-checkouts, for example, right? I remember self-checkouts coming out over a decade ago. And it was supposed to be like less more cost effective. We're going to drive prices down because we're not paying cashiers. And I know people are stealing more, but now not only is there like one cashier open, I heard that, but you still have the self-checkouts, but prices have gone up where they were supposed to go down. But now I can't remember where, I think it might be Walmart, but is charging a fee to use self-checkout, like as a monthly membership to be able to check out your own shit. You're going to have to pay more
Yeah.
to be your own fucking
So
cashier.
now instead of paying employees, they're making money off of their customers.
Off of the customers.
And also food prices are increasing where places have self-checkout because they have to factor in stealing.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
well,
how
yeah.
many people steal. So like
Everything's
so
under a
the
fucking
companies
case.
are getting off great.
Yeah.
Because they are charging more, they are charging us to
Hey,
use stuff
hey.
and they don't have to pay less employees.
It's
You
breaking
know,
down. The
Yeah.
whole system's breaking down.
I saw a very impassioned Joe Biden say he's going to tell those companies to cut it out.
You
'Cause-
stop
yeah,
that.
you stop
hey,
that.
I'm gonna wag my finger at you.
I'm very
Yes.
cross with you.
Well, it's funny because I mean, if you really look at it, if we're like paying attention to like really what's going on here, all of our big industries are breaking down severely. You know, the actors, the Hollywood's breaking down with AI. Music's been breaking down for a long time and is probably about to
Kendrick
implode.
Lamar and
K-Dot.
Restaurants are breaking down. You
K-Dot.
know,
Oh,
like
big
everything
time.
is starting. Like
Tech
all these things that we put this much cloud into is like all
It's
this
almost
stuff.
like it's not sustainable.
Right. We are hitting that 250-year mark as a
Yeah.
fucking empire, you
Yeah.
know, and that's like the longest we know of that we have written documentation of, of an empire lasting before it finally crumbles.
Our own democracy's breaking down.
So I
so
saw-
it's not
Was
even
it ever even there?
right. Yeah,
I
right.
saw
Yeah.
a financial meme
Fuck.
and it was 1929 and it was 10 gold bars could buy a house and now it's 10 gold bars could buy a house.
Right.
like literally, I mean, it's not quite like
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
click on it. Some guy did the math. It's not
Right.
quite exactly right, but it's pretty fucking close.
That's funny. That's funny. Man.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that I'd like to just say before we kind of wrap up here as a positive note. Another study that I read, because I just love, I don't know, I don't seek these out. They just happen to be in
They-
podcasts.
He doesn't
You
like
don't
to
seek them out; they
study.
seek you out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The knowledge
The
finds
study
me.
finds you.
But they were talking about how the study recently was the efficacy of naps.
Oh yeah.
And if you take a 20-minute to 60-minute nap 3 times a week minimum, you are 37% less likely to have coronary issues like heart disease or anything.
Yeah.
And for men, it's 68%.
you
It
take a
drops
nap?
every fucking almost
I
every
nap
day.
better than I sleep.
Oh, yeah, I take at least a
I-
15-minute nap like almost every day.
I can't do 15. I,
won't
gotta
say,
do long ones.
I won't say I have the ritual of doing it, but I usually will if I'm fucking tired, I'm just like, let's fucking nap.
Yeah,
it.
fuck yeah.
Usually around like anywhere from 2 to 4.
Same.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where
That's
I hit my wall.
That's the quote unquote menopause hour.
Well,
that I've heard of.
I will go home and probably take a nap around 3:00. Like it's like my body chooses when to nap. And I when I said I nap better than I sleep, I feel more refreshed after I nap than I do
yeah,
after an 8-hour
Oh yeah.
sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Hike
I believe that
5,000
wholeheartedly.
miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Napping's great.
Which is why they have fucking siestas in other countries because they
Right.
know the
Yeah,
importance
it was the
of
hottest
it.
part of the fucking day.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Get a glass of wine and you go take a
Yes.
fucking nap. Yeah.
I think I've talked about this on a previous podcast. I heard about these kids. Not these. Well, I guess he was fucking 22. He told me about this, but coffee naps. You drink a cup of coffee before
do that.
You do that.
Yes.
You've actually done that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you drink a cup of coffee, go to bed, and then it'll wake you up.
I
with
think
the
I
caffeine.
started doing that after you told
So
us
you actually-
about
you
that.
tried
I've
that,
tried
huh?
that. Yeah,
It's
it
tight?
works. It totally works.
See, I've done that with
man.
acid, but I've never done that with coffee.
A little bit different
Yeah.
Yeah, wake
Oh.
up. So I would go to so a couple times in
Before fucking school.
before school. Yeah.
Jesus,
so I
you're
would set my
fucking
alarm for like
madman.
7 a.m. Wake up, take like 2 hits of acid, drink a big thing of orange juice, and then go back to sleep, and
That
then
is
wake up
just
at 9, just be
crazy.
like, "Fucking awake,
Yes,
That is
life
Go
is
to
amazing. I can't think of a fucking worse way to start my day. God damn.
Oh man, simpler times, simpler times.
Yeah, you'll get it when you're older.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
100%. Hey, you know, I would never even consider doing that.
Yeah.
As an adult,
a waste
the
of
closest thing I
acid.
get
It's
to
waste of acid.
the closest thing I would get to that now is every once in a while I'll microdose at night
Yeah.
because your brain naturally, your body goes through natural repairs, so you're boosting that repair, like adrenal gland stuff, and maybe cleaning out some of the like the rest and digest kind
What,
of
just
assisting
eat like a
that.
gram and then go to bed?
100 milligrams, just 100 milligrams.
I've started doing that too, and I like my dreams better.
Oh, there you go.
My
Yeah,
dreams are nicer.
Totally.
I had a crazy dream the other night where I had a dream about Lily Rabe and Hamish Linklater. I know you straights don't know who they are, but
don't know that.
yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Hamish
but
Linklater.
they,
I like the name.
George Strait.
but I remember they're an actor, both actors. They're a married couple, but Lily Rabe's a gay icon. So I was naked in the dream, and he was naked in the dream. But it was very important that we were both naked.
Okay.
But it was not sexual at all. It was like it was almost like a spy level. We have to do this, or something bad's gonna happen.
All right.
But if people, and I just kept thinking like, but if Lily finds us naked together, she will be devastated. She will never not believe that we are not fucking, even though I'm gay. It's just like we're both naked in the same room, and he was like, absolutely, 100% get it. I'm gonna go to the car and be naked, and I was like, okay, great idea. But I woke up just being like, this was a nice shroom dream. This was an enjoyable shroom dream. I enjoyed that wholeheartedly.
Like Mitch Hedberg, where he's like, I like dreams, but I don't want to fucking work. He's like, I have to, one time I went to bed and I was building a go-kart with my landlord.
Yeah.
Fucking Mitch Hedberg, man.
I miss him.
Okay, last question before we roll. Does life make more or less sense to you, and are you okay with that?
As you get older?
Yeah.
I see things more clearly now than I did.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's less confusion. Doesn't mean that there's less frustration.
Yeah.
But I can see things definitely clearer now, and being more at peace with how things are.
Okay.
Just being more at peace with myself that like there are some things I know I can't do, and there's some things I know I can do. So I'm just going to focus on the can do's.
It's like the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah.
Give me the strength to
is-
understand that what I can change,
Yeah.
the wisdom to change what I can. And
I have more
whatever, blah, blah, blah.
clarity now, which gives me more peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Robin?
I don't know. It's hard not to think about this along lines without quitting drinking. It seems like I can actually be more sustainable and just actually kind of live a fucking life.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that too much, but again, when I was drinking towards the end, especially in the mental space that I was in towards the end, definitely for seeing a future or a life or kind of just doing kind of any kind of thing wasn't really there.
Right.
So it's kind of like approaching life now with like, oh no, that is kind of more possible.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Interesting.
Do you think like having age and experience
That helps too.
it helped you get sober, or look at you like prioritizing your own happiness over this thing that I like to or think I like to enjoy doing?
Well, it's just interesting because I always thought I remember in high school, our health teacher was really fucking cool. And he quit drinking like while we were there. Like,
oh, wow,
while I
that's
was a
interesting.
senior, and he was like, oh, he used to drink with the PE teacher and shit. They like,
Yeah,
were
they
buddies.
fucking did, dude.
Yeah.
But like
did.
they
The
were
short
buddies and
shorts
shit.
and the high
no,
knee
like
socks.
this guy was cool as fuck. I think his name was Mr. Thorpe. Like
Fuck yeah, man.
came into class with a fucking black eye and had to go like, yeah, I have a black eye. I gotten Mr. Desmond and I were at a fucking bar, and like,
Wow.
no. So this guy
That's
was
great.
cool as shit, but he literally said that. I don't know if I'm fucking up probably some of the chronology here, but he turned 30 and he's like, I told myself I was going to quit drinking at 30. So he was like 29 and then he quit drinking at 30. And I always, for some reason, was kind of like, okay, that seems like a good time to kind of quote hang it up. Honestly,
Okay.
like this is even in high
Little
school
mental-
before I even knew when I was before I even knew that I was going to be an alcoholic or knew that I was going to get so good at that.
Right.
Such aspirations
Which is-
at a young
yeah.
age, you know?
Really excel.
But that number always stuck out in my mind, and then as I got closer to it, I'm like, okay, maybe not. But then it just kept getting later and later and later.
Right,
and
right.
it's just like, well, okay, well now I'm not gonna fucking make it to 40 unless I actually fucking stop at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always this question in the back of my head, like what would the ritual rites we would pass down to kids these days, rite to passage, stuff like that. I just like to think about those things. I think we've talked about it loosely throughout the podcast over the years, and there's like delineated years, 16, 18, 21, 25, 40, shit like that. But and so in that measure, like I've just always been thinking about, like, for the past little bit of time, like what years would be delineated marks. And I don't think it's necessarily a blanket thing over, for everybody. But what I've counted for myself is, so 36, when I turned 36, that was, to me, I've now been on my own as long as I had been coddled. From 1 to 18, I was in high school. I was being taken care of. I was being like fed. I was being housed.
Interesting.
And then from 19 to 36, that's about that same amount of time that I've been on my own. 38 is when I quit drinking. So like, okay, so, you know, just those barometers, you look back. Okay, so now how has this like past 18 years been, previous 18 years? Am I on trajectory? Am I happy? Am I like learning a lot about life, right? And then my next one for myself that I just put in there recently is 58, because that's as many years after drinking as I had been drinking. I drank pretty much every day for 20 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
From pretty much 18 to 38, I was drunk.
Yeah.
And so 38, I quit drinking. So another 20 years from that would be 58. So it's like, okay, so 58 rolls around. Like, how do I feel now that I've been sober as long as I was drunk?
Yeah.
You know, or without alcohol as long as I was drunk. Let's be
damn.
serious.
California sober is a good term, but it's not fucking hammered
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, there's a guy I had my other podcast recently, and he's recovering, you know, from various different substances. And one of them, one of the addictions he had was sex. I think he's still managing it, so we'll say is sex. And but when he went to his therapist, and this is what the podcast was about, is if you went to a therapist and you said, I'm addicted to sex, is your therapist going to say, okay, well, you never have sex again? Mm-hmm. No, not at all. It's like, okay, how do we get your relationship around sex healthy?
Right.
So why do we always jump to, okay, you're an alcoholic, you can never have alcohol again. Now you're an alcoholic. We can't find a way to have a responsible. And his thing is like, maybe it is. Maybe we don't have healthy relationships because we're not in a place where we've nurtured those, you know, with substances. But if that's always the go-to, that might be what keeps people from taking that first step, because it's like, well, I still want to do this.
Yeah.
I just maybe am doing it too much.
Sure.
The alcohol thing, it's like that's why most people don't fucking quit, is because the idea, and I mean, it's just
Of never doing it again is too much
that's
to think about.
that's a fucking. I mean, that sounds really shitty even for me, and I you know, that ship is that
Which is
fucker
like
left
one
the
day at a
harbor.
time is the thing, because
Well,
otherwise
that's the
if you
only
really
way. But
you got to think about it, because
it's just like
overwhelming.
I mean, it's just like. The
Well,
idea, I remember when I was thinking about quitting drinking, I'm like, well, I'm going to fucking Europe for my buddy's bachelor party in 4 months.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, I'll take it off and then go over there and then just, it's like, well, I'll just drink up until then.
Right.
Yeah, well, I read a story. I heard a story actually recently about this person that's very, very experienced in medicine work, and they sit with ayahuasca and these big medicines a lot. And this person had a big, like a 3-day experience back to back with ayahuasca, and on the third day, the medicine really took hold of them and was just like really, really strong, really present, and there wasn't really a come down. Like it was like this person said, like, almost a dozen hours after, like everybody was asleep and this person's just still fucking in it, right? And the one of their friends is helping them just kind of stay present and just hold that space for them. And something in this person's mind said, you should drink whiskey. And the person's like, this person doesn't drink, and especially not with medicines, plant medicines. But that person did. It was like, okay, fine. Drank a little bit of whiskey. It's like this nice sipping whiskey. Had like a little bit, and it immediately dropped them back into their human body.
Interesting.
So it's stories like that I hear that would be like, okay, so maybe that's the opportunity for that to be shown that you can responsibly. You can, and it's not like you can let your guard down, or it's not falling off the wagon, or something like that. So it's like, okay, so you consciously invited this spirit, into your body to help counteract this other thing. There's discernment there, right? You've made the choice.
You're in control.
Yeah, you're in control.
Yeah.
And that was I think the message that really the journey was really giving him. It's like, hey, you've been doing this a lot. It's like the question I keep asking myself. It's like, what if I found peace and I just don't know how to play with it properly? Mm-hmm. If I'm holding peace and I'm just so used to being angry and upset that
Feels
I'm just
like a little alien.
Yeah, I don't even know what to do with peace, right? It's like, okay, so like...
people
especially
don't
when
know
everything around you is screaming at you not to be at peace.
Well,
yeah.
So you
used to
feel
shitty
wrong.
relationships.
It's like being triggered in fight or flight is the natural state. So if I feel peaceful, that makes me feel anxious. So I got to go fucking poke the bear somewhere. Put my finger in the light socket and be like, there you go. That's the peace I'm looking for.
Uh-huh.
Fucking hell.
That's real.
All right. Well, Go find your real version of peace, people.
Go find your real version of peace and go find the movie Frankenhooker.
Frankenhooker.
Yeah.
Frankenhooker.
We'll talk
It's
about
on
it next
my
time.
list.
Go Frankenhooker.
Peace.